You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 302. Why am I scared to move on from my ex? Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, my beautiful brave hearts. This is it. Today is the final episode of our mini-series on how I would handle a breakup now, having years and years of experience as an expert in this breakup industry, heartbreak industry. And we have covered getting your biology baseline locked down, rebuilding your relationship with yourself, and creating real closure. But today we're going to be talking about the thing that nobody wants to admit. You're scared to get over your ex. Not because you love them so much and you can't let go. Like, that is something that you're telling yourself, but it's not the real reason. You're actually scared because getting over your ex means you have to become someone new. And becoming someone new means leaving the version of yourself that you've known for years behind, even if that version of yourself is absolutely miserable. So I want to give you an example. I had a client who'd been kind of trying to get over her ex for a lot of years, she said. Many years. And every time she started making progress, what she noticed is she would go a few days without thinking about him. Every time she started feeling good about herself, she'd do something to sabotage it. And she'd maybe drive by his house, text him, about something quote unquote important. She'd scroll through old photos until she was crying again. And when I asked her, as we started our journey together, I asked her, why is she doing these things? And she mentioned, if I get over him, then I have to admit that I wasted 3 years of my life. And if I get over him, then I have to figure out who I am without him. And if I get over him, then I have to be responsible for myself and my happiness in life. And that's scary. And that was honestly just the most true, real, raw reason as to why she was feeling stuck and staying stuck. It wasn't about, keeping and staying attached to her ex. It wasn't the love that was keeping her attached to her ex. It was fear of taking responsibility for her own life. It's scary, right? Especially when you've been in a partnership for so long or really in your early years, you don't even know another way of life. When you're heartbroken, I think the other interesting point is that you get to stay victim too. This was me very much in my original heartbreak. I just remember being like, I wasn't thinking these things, but I noticed looking back that I got to be the victim. I would get sympathy. I would get to blame someone else for why my life wasn't working. I would get to avoid the scary work of building something new because I was too busy mourning what I had lost. But the moment that you actually get over your ex, the moment you stop making them is the same moment that you stop making them responsible for your happiness. Okay? What's interesting is you have to show up. You have to take the risks. You have to build the life that you want instead of just complaining about the life that you don't have. And it's fucking terrifying. So what I've noticed is that your brain creates what I call invisible ceilings. And these are beliefs that keep you safely stuck instead of dangerously free, right? So, and maybe your invisible ceiling is, I'll never find love again, like that. Or I'm too damaged for anyone to want me now. Or I'm not the kind of person who gets what they want. Maybe it's, if I build an amazing life and he sees it, he'll want me back and then I'll have to choose. These beliefs feel true. They feel like facts, but they're not. They're not facts. They're choices. Choices your brain made to keep you safe from the scariest or the scariness of actually going after what you truly want. Okay? And what's interesting, we always love this, is that the thoughts that you think, these beliefs, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. So if you believe you'll never find love again like that, you don't put yourself out there in a way that creates love. If you believe you're too damaged, you'll show up damaged, which will, again, be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you're not the kind person who gets what they want, or the kind of the person that gets what they want, you'll stop trying to get what you want. So how do we stop that? How do we interrupt that? How do we shatter those invisible ceilings? And first, you have to get brutally honest about what you're actually afraid of. We have to know what the ceiling is. It's not really about your ex. It's about who you'll have to become to build the life that you want. What would you have to believe about yourself? What would you have to risk? What would you have to give up? What is it that you're actually scared of? Secondly, you have to question every limiting belief like it's on trial for its life. Where did this belief come from? Is it actually true? Or is it just something you've been thinking for so long you forgot it was optional? What would be possible if you didn't believe this anymore? Third, you have to decide who you want to be on the other side of this breakup. And this is not who you were before. Some of us might, romanticize our previous self. Some of you don't, that's fine. But we're not looking back at who we were before we met our ex. We're not looking at who we were in partnership with our ex. We're really looking at who do we want to be now and in the future. What does that version of you believe? How does she show up? What does she look like? How does she carry herself in life? What does her life look like now? The fourth thing you have to do, you have to act like that person before you feel like that person. And sometimes that's the hardest thing. I always say doing something something new takes a lot of effort to become effortless. And that's okay. It's okay if it's effortful to then be effortless in the future. Your brain, right, will tell you sometimes to wait until you feel confident to be confident, but it's actually backwards. You become confident by acting confident while you're actually still scared. You become the person who has what you want by doing what that person would do, even when you don't feel like it yet, to build on that emotion. And I know this sounds simple, but it's not easy, especially when you're trying to do it while your brain is still foggy with heartbreak and your thoughts are still tangled up in attachment, which is why for the past 3 weeks, I have been building up to this moment. Get Over Your Ex Live enrollment closes this Sunday, August 17th. And after that, the doors are locked and we begin Monday, August 18th. This isn't just about getting over your ex anymore, my friends. It's truly about becoming the version of yourself who builds a life so good that your breakup becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. Like truthfully, honestly, genuinely. In 3 months, you could still be where you are right now, right? Maybe that's stuck in the same patterns, thinking the same thoughts, living the same life because you're too scared to want more, which I totally understand and have been there. Or you could be someone completely different. Someone who looks back on this breakup as the catalyst that changed everything. Someone who's grateful it happened because it forced you to choose you, to become who you were always meant to be. And the timeline is going to happen either way. It's going to be the same either way. And the choice is just for you when you actually want to make the change. And if you've been following this series, if you've been doing the homework, if you recognize yourself in these episodes, this is your moment. This is your chance to stop doing this alone and start getting the expert guidance you need to actually break through these invisible ceilings instead of just talking about them. And I'm not going to lie to you, this work is hard. It is messy. It requires you to face parts of yourself you've been avoiding. But on the other side of that mess is the most beautiful, powerful version of yourself you've ever imagined. I promise you. And I really would love to be there to meet her. Remember, we talked about this in the last episode. The contractor doesn't just build a house, he builds you a home. He or she builds you a home. And that's what we're doing here. We're not just getting over your ex, we're building a home. We're building a life that feels like a home. And if you're ready to shatter every invisible ceiling that's been keeping you small, if you're ready to stop being scared of your own power, I want you to go to dorothyabjohnson.com/getoveryourEx right now. Enrollment closes Sunday. We start Monday. Your future self is waiting. And my brave hearts, this is the end of our amazing, beautiful mini series of what I'd do now and how I'd move through a breakup as someone who's been doing this work for 7 years and have helped hundreds of thousands of people through it. So although it's the end of our mini series, for those of you who join Get Over Your Ex Live, this will be just the beginning. I love you, brave hearts, so much, and I can't wait to see who you become. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.